right, so, all right, this is a small PowerPoint that we prepare for everybody. Just a little bit information about our office. So we located at Coots Hall. Here is our phone number and the email that you can reach us. We also have a website that is dedicated to help students. I mean to have all the information about off-campus living. Our office support on-campus housing. Off-campus housing. So we help students searching for housing, searching for roommates. We also provide housing resources to help students going through the process. If you have any lease problems or these questions, we also educate students on that, especially before you sign the lease, you wanted to make sure that the lease is legal and legitimate for you. We also educate our students as a tenant, your rights and responsibilities when you rent here in the Boston area. Having said that, we have in the previous years that we have encountered some problems that students facing. A lot of them are facing like they don't understand the tenant's rights. What are your rights? And then how do you protect your security deposit being like holding from the landlord? How do you get that back? And we also help solving some roommate concerns that students have. And here is our team. So Mima is here with us. Akansha is having a little healthy issue today, so she will not be able to join us. But we are here for you. We also host office hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you ever have any questions that you would like to talk with us privately or having an individual conversation, you can also book an office hour with us. Here is the agenda of the day today. So we'll go over apartment search process. This process including pricing, people, and all the legal paperwork that associated. We also would like to go over some protection tools that you will be aware of as a renter here to protect yourself. And we will go over the apartment research resources here at Brandies. And we'll also go over some of the typical houses, rental houses around this area and the transportation. The transportations that Brandies in the Boston City are provided here. So you can look for a convenient way to get to from and to campus. We also touch base on some subletting policies that is very typical here because the apartment here are so expensive. So some students may wanted to sublet their housing when they are not around here, so they're not paying rent in the summer. We also will go over some rights and responsibilities that here I just mentioned, and then we will touch base on how to help how international students can rent here, because there are some documentations that international students should be prepared when you wanted to lease here. So first of all, I would like to start with these list of questions that you can ask yourself. First, what is the best time to start looking now? So most of, maybe I'll mute this person. Mima, can you mute this person? So yeah, so the best time is to start as soon as possible, as soon as you know that you are moving to the Boston area, because the inventory here is very low, and the prices are high. So if you know that you're coming here for sure, so start as soon as possible. Where to live? Boston is, Waltham is 20 minutes away from the city of Boston. Our students mainly, I would say 90% of our students mainly live in the Waltham area. We do have students live in the neighborhood towns such as Newton, Somerville, Austin, some other areas. I mean, we'll go over that in detail later. And also, it's a good idea to consider, to think about who do you want to live with, since the prices are high. it's a very good idea for you to start thinking maybe having a roommate or housemate to bring down the cost. This is a very typical way to rent here as well. So, and then also that brings us to think about your budget. What is your income and what can you budget for your rental? That's a very good question to start thinking when you start looking for housing. Also for international students, we need co-signers, mainly because international student doesn't have quite a history in the US, and a lot of landlords are still looking for that. So they want to, because of the landlord has choices, maybe they have multiple applications who are interested in their rental property. So they have an opportunity to pick someone that is a better qualification. So for international students, don't be surprised that the landlord will ask for a co-signer. And then the last question is maybe think about transportation. Maybe if you have a flexibility, maybe renting away from campus and then have a very convenient transportation that can bring you to campus. That might be an option too. So first of all, the apartment search process, I would like to say that price is very important because you need to know how much you can afford. And because it's very typical here that the landlords always ask for a lot of upfront cost. They ask for first month, last month rent, and then a month of security deposit. So that can add up a lot. So just keep that in mind. Also, people that when you start looking, there are people involved in the process, such as thinking about having a roommate or housemate, or do you want to work with the realtor? Okay, the realtor here is very common for students who having a realtor to communicate with the landlord. That's just this area is like and then landlord, the landlord will be involved in the entire process as well. And if you are living in the big apartment building, you may have some neighbors that you wanted to be considering paperwork. So we have application as just an application to apply. That is not a legal document that not a legal binding document versus a lease that is a legally binding document. How do you prepare the lease in favor of you? So these terms, we will talk about later, but these are some paperwork that will be involved in the entire process. As soon as if you're having a roommate, we highly agree that you consider signing a roommate or housemate agreement with whoever you're living with. So protection, we will talk about multiple ways to protect yourself in this process. Let's move on to price, and I will pass on this section to Mima. So Mima will talk about price.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Hi, everyone. Again, lovely to meet everybody. And we're just going to go right into section of the housing payment. So I'll be walking you through the different parts of what price entails from your budget, from looking at the kind of way that you can plan your budgets, what you should be expecting to spend your money on at the end of every month when you do get an apartment, and how you can use your budget as a tool to find housing. All right, so this is really just a visual to give you an idea of what your budget can and will look like. Your income could come from financial aid, it could be loan, it could be your savings, it could be your family. You also want to put into consideration what this amount looks like and what the consistency of this amount is. Do you get it every month? Do you get like a bulk amount? Is it bi-monthly? Is it weekly? Just so you have an idea on what you're expecting and how to work with that amount that you're expecting. And so the next thing that you're going to have to do is take out about 30 to 40% of that income for your rent. Because like Jing mentioned, the Boston metro area, Massachusetts generally is an expensive state. So you do have to be flexible enough to understand that your income, like a good chunk of your income is going to go to your rent, to your accommodation. So our advice is, once you get your income, before you do anything, ensure that you take out that amount of money, which usually is about 30 to 40% of your income. We advise that percentage so you're comfortable enough every month to have that amount to pay without really struggling in other areas of your life. And so when you take out that amount, you do have to also budget for your utilities, because most of the houses that you get in this area, you don't pay rents inclusive of utilities, and it can change very on season. So during the summer, you typically will pay lower utilities, but from the fall, especially during winter, it tends to go higher. So you have to plan for that as well. You also have to plan for your feeding. You might have other goals, transportation, fun activities that you want, as well as just having savings for a rainy day. So it's important that you're able to put all of this aside. I feel like this makes life much easier for you as a student. Next slide. Okay, so this is just a little budget 101 for you as you are embarking on your housing search. The first thing that you want to do is have an idea of what rental prices are around this area, the Waltham area. Some people at the end of the day might decide to live outside Waltham, and that's okay. You might have a bit of, delay trying to understand how to navigate the transportation system. But if you are living in the Waltham area, it's so important that you explore what the rental costs are, explore your options. Then after doing that, evaluate your finances. You know exactly what you can afford. Be able to determine what that budget looks like, and then use that. And then use that as a means to structure what you're searching for, how you're going to be searching. Like I mentioned with the previous slide, allocate funds for housing. Now, these are funds that will be stipulated every single month. This is going out for housing, so you don't get stranded, or you're not in a situation, or you don't get yourself in a situation where you're unable to afford your rent. You also have to consider having housemates, shared housing. This is typically the arrangement that most students use here in the Waltham area. But that is not to say that there are no options for single living, which means that you can get an apartment to yourself. But if you are on a budget, you have to consider living with housemates. It makes it way more cost effective. And then you also want to be flexible and negotiate, just to know that you might have an amount in your head, a picture in your head of what you want for your housing arrangement. But then when you do come here, the reality might be a little bit different. So it's important to have an open mind and be able to negotiate, be able to compromise, and just be flexible. All right, so this is a little bit of an overview of what your budget might look like as a PhD student. So say you're coming in to, say, the Heller School as a PhD student. On average, your stipend will be about $2,100 every month. So normally when you are looking for housing, you do make some payments before you get in. So it's typically your first and last month rent, which say $800 in this instance, and then you normally will have to pay what we call a safety deposit. Now, your safety deposit might vary from landlord to landlord. So say you have about $2,100 and you have to pay all of this upfront. You can do the math. That's a chunk that you're going to be spending at a go. So that's something that you also have to put into consideration. Your utilities, which are typically Wi-Fi, heat, and electricity. Some houses might ask for payment for water, but usually that is not the case. This will normally cost you around $100 to $150. So this is also something to put in mind while you're looking for a house. As you're budgeting, we always say 30 to 40% is your guideline for when you're looking for housing and you're budgeting for housing. In addition to your stipend, you can earn money from on-campus jobs, but you have to understand that on-campus jobs are quite competitive. So it's not, like 100% thing. So you don't want to kind of like depend on that solely. You still want to have an open mind and another source of income, so things are not too stressful for you while you're studying, because grad school is stressful enough. We also encourage you to have an emergency fund. We know that it might not be the easiest if you are on a very limited budget. But no matter how little, we encourage you to have one. This is just so you can have, you know, like a rainy day fund that will act as a safety net. All right, so this is for master's students, international master's students. I'm an international master's student, so this is pretty much my story here, as you can see. So you do have your income from on-campus jobs. You are limited to working only 20 hours a week on campus during the academic year. And typically you get an average of $15 an hour from an on-campus job. So you can have that as, you know, a guideline to have an expectation of what you will be earning from a campus job at the end of every month. Given that you have such limited income, a very significant part of your income at the end of the month would typically go towards housing expenses. But we still try to encourage you not to spend more than 30 to 40% of your income on rent. So what that means is if previously you were looking at a place that is say 850 or 900, you might have to recalibrate and look at a place that is 700 or 750 or 730, somewhere that will be much easier for you to deal with. There are cases where you might also have to stretch your budget above what you originally planned. Just as we advise for PhD students and every student really, an emergency fund, we really think that it's vital to have that because there might be some situations that might come up that you're not expecting and you need to solve some problems really quickly. So we still advise you as a master's student to have an emergency fund. Okay, so this is just a visual to give you an idea of what your one-time expenses and your monthly expenses will be. So your one-time expense when you're house hunting will be your first and your last month's rent, your security deposits, realtor and other fees. I do have to give a disclaimer that you might not have to pay realtor fees for every house that you're looking for. There are some housing options where the landlord prefer to work with you directly, so that eliminates you having to pay realtor or broker fees. And then furniture or moving expenses. Now, you might be very fortunate. This is where networking comes in very handy. You might be very fortunate to get on Facebook groups and or like Facebook Marketplace, and you will be able to get furniture for free or even at really, really discounted rates. So I would advise you to take advantage of those options. You really don't have to go to a store to buy brand new furniture or, you know, spend so much of your money on it. You can network with students who are moving. They could also share with you. I benefited from that when I moved as well. You could also have friends that you're house hunting with, and you can help each other with the moving. So you can all move together, which cuts the cost of trying to transport your property. And then monthly expenses are things like your rent, your utilities, which could be cable, internet, you know, subscriptions that you might have, groceries, your transportation, and then renter's insurance. Now, the thing is, for some landlords, your renter's insurance might be included in your rent. This is why you have to really look through your lease and ask questions when you're not sure, so you know exactly what is expected of you at the end of every month. Okay. So for people, we have had a little bit of housing clinics where we encourage you all to come and meet people. We already had this is an old slide, but we did have one just last Friday that was very great. I don't know if any of you joined that session, but it's just an opportunity for people to come together and see if they can find housemates, so to speak, that you can go on apartment search together. So yeah. So I will give this back to Jane to take over for the next slide.
All right, so it's very like Mima mentioned, doing a good budget, it will help you get started. So one way to bring the cost down is to consider living with a roommate. So, but you don't want to live with a roommate without getting to know them. So here are some tips that we think that will help you at least get to know your roommates. It's to try to meet them in person if you are able to, and talk about what your living behaviors and what you are looking for as a good roommate. So talking and communicating is a very, very important before you start thinking of living together. And also we would like to even though you are starting communicating, but it's also a good idea to put all those verbal communication into paper. So we suggest that you signing a roommate agreement, and these are the detailed rules and policies that you are expecting from each other into paper. We don't have another speed meeting event coming up in the future. But I think from here, because we have a very small group, if later on we have some time, maybe we can have you maybe talk to each other if you wanted to meet someone in this room to become a roommate. And also, like, the realtor is it's very typical here in the Boston area to have a realtor help you looking for housing, because a lot of landlords do prefer having a realtor directly working with students, because they sometimes just prefer talking with realtors instead of students. But the downside is the realtor do charge you a month of rent. It's very typical here. So if you are thinking about using a realtor to help you find housing, please double check the realtor's license, see if they are licensed in the Massachusetts. Not if the realtor is not licensed, they cannot charge for a broker fee. Also, you can use more than one realtor to help you search for housing, but you only need to pay the fee for the one who help you find the housing. That's a tip for you. So maybe realtors has multiple connections with landlords, but you don't need to pay them to look at the house. You only pay them like when they help you find the one that you signed the lease with. And then also do your research. You don't want to settle with a bad realtor. Well, realtors does sometimes will take advantage of students because they just take advantage because the student doesn't know this area, and they sometimes just wanted to make money from you, but not really doing their job of working with you and working on behalf of you with landlords. So to do your research and settle with good realtor. It's very important, and make sure that the realtors do their job, providing all paperwork. And here is a website that if you click on that, there's a link to take you to a official website that can check the realtor's license. If you are working with the realtor, do your research before you settle in. Again, here is another people that will be involved with the entire process. It's the landlord. So again, all property owners are public records in Massachusetts. You can also use this website. I have a link here. It's the Massachusetts landlord record. You can use this website to type in the address that you are looking for. And it will show up who is the owner. So the owner is the landlord. You wanted to sign the lease with the landlord versus signing the lease with other unknown person. So make sure that this property you sign is the landlord is real. So again, you need to do research before you sign the lease. Also make sure that you and your landlord has a good communication channel. Some landlord may prefer verbal, but it's always a good idea to have all the verbal communication written down, just in case any issues arises in the future, you have a record for it. You can now talk about paperwork. It's very typical that when you start looking for housing, after the landlord or the realtor show you the place, they will ask you to apply first. So this is an application that you will have to fill out. You only need to fill that out if you are interested in renting this house, but you don't have to fill out every application, the application for each of the house you look at it. This application will serve as a document for landlords to do a security or background check, just to make sure your your credit score is good.
I get
your
some mail
background
from
is
friends.
clean.
Mhm.
And typically the application that it's fee-based, so the landlord cannot charge this fee, only the licensed broker can charge this if they ask you to fill out this, the application first. Okay, so sign this before the lease, and complete the application does not guarantee the tenancy. So application is just only a paperwork that you apply for this place that if you're interested. A lease, on the other hand, is the legally binding contract that will outline all the terms and conditions that you and the landlord agree upon. The lease also states on the length and the tendency, the length of the tendency, the amount of rent that will be paid each month to the landlord. The lease also secure you that the landlord cannot raise the amount of the rent that you are paying during the agreed length of time. Your landlord also can evict you if you don't pay the rent on time, or if you are not doing the things that according to the lease terms. We'll go over the lease in more details, but typically the lease here is 12 months in Massachusetts. So let's go over some of the lease clauses here. I would like to point it out is the lease does not, if the lease does not include an ending date or a rent amount, this lease will not be valid. So make sure that you understand all the elements are included in the lease, like your legal name of the both parties, both you and the landowner. The property address is correct and the owner is verified. Length of the lease, for example, some lease, I mean, I say typically 12 months, but you can negotiate with the landlord to 9 months. Some of the student only here for 1 semester. You may not be interested in the 12 months lease. You can also negotiate with the landlord of the length of the lease. Rent amount and when it's due. It's very important. If you and your landlord agree that you're gonna pay this amount before this day every month, then you have to stick with it, because the landlord can evade you if you are not paying your rent. Also, it's a good idea to have all the appliances or the furniture that will come with the rental that the house that you are signing with. Typically in America, it's very common to ask for appliances like a cooktop or microwave, or these things that should be documented in detail in your lease if it comes with the rental place. Also, the security deposit amount is very common for landlord to ask just to hold that amount of money on their hands, just in case if you damage anything that in the rental place, the landlord has to replace it after you move out. So this security deposit will serve as that blanket, I mean, comfortable blanket for the landlord, but it's not. The student can understand that if you do some non-normal wear and tear in the house, you do have to pay for it. But the security deposit will have to return to you after 30 days. After 30 days when you move out. So we will talk about the security deposit later in the presentations to help you, to give you some idea how you can protect yourself from the landlord taking away your security deposit. Also, these are the lease courses that we would like to suggest that you put it into the lease. Is the utilities. Does the landlord cover your utilities? What does the landlord cover? As Mima mentioned, that water is typically covered by the landlord, but all the internet fees, gas and electricities are usually the tenant has to pay for it. Also, these are also can be negotiated with the landlord. If you can negotiate with landlord or everything comes in one pocket, one buck, you can negotiate with your landlord. What do you want it to the landlord to cover, and what do you don't want it the landlord to cover. So communication is again very important before you sign the lease, and make sure that you both of the parties understand the preferred communication method. Some landlord may want you to email, some landlord may want to use text. So again, this is make sure that you understand that your landlord is okay with the communications that you preferred. Also, both parties' signature is has to be on the lease in order for the lease to be valid. Some illegal clauses of the lease, some legal and illegal clauses. So some legal clauses that including the landlord has a requirement for you to keep the place clean, okay, to keep the noise down between certain hours. Usually it's after 10 p.m. before 8 a.m. That's a very typical law in Massachusetts. Also, the landlord can regulate how to take your trash out. This is a big part here because having a trash day here, it's very for some students maybe not, it's not the same in your country, because here we have a trash day each week. So the landlord will give you that day, and at that day you need to take the trash out. That's your responsibility to keep the place clean and take the trash out on the trash days. Also, if you are looking to sublet or change roommate, the landlord may ask you for a fee on that. These are all the jointly liable clauses that that will be included in your lease. Some illegal clauses that is snow removal. Usually, the landlord has to cover pets fees. If you find any ants or things that in the apartment, you can definitely reach out to your landlord to take care of that. You don't have to pay for that. And some routine maintenance, just anything that in your rental place is broken down, you can the landlord is responsible to repair that. Something that you can consider negotiating is the notice of entry. If you have a friends come over to visit 1 night or 2 nights, this is a very common for our students. So you can negotiate with your landlord if this is allowed or this is a fee-based. So our pro tips are, research your realtor, landlord, and the property. Make sure you sign the lease. It's legitimate. Have all the names and dates and fees on the lease. It's very important. Again, putting all the verbal promises into writing, and save all the communications about issues that you discuss with the landlord. You wanted to save all of that. So if in the future, if any problems arises, we have a document. And also ask questions and negotiate with your landlord. Some students may not have that in mind, that things that you can negotiate with your landlord in favor of you. So we highly suggest that some of these you can negotiate with your landlord. Some attachments that were recommended if you sign the lease. These are 3 attachments. Maybe when you sign the lease, you also have to consider. One is the addendum. These are in the addendum. This will be the policies that about subletting. Subletting here is a big thing here in Boston. So students sometimes goes away in the summer, so they will in order to bring down the cost, you don't have to pay when you're away. So students sometimes just try to sublet their place during the summer, but landlords may not want you to do that. So subletting policies that you need to negotiate with your landlord. What is the policy? If the landlord is getting paid or you get paid, and pay for the landlord first. So really think about how you wanted to do this before you sign the lease. Also, the trash policy and fine if you don't do the trash. how much the landlord is going to charge you, and these are also a good thing to think about when you sign the lease. Also, voice validation. In the state of Massachusetts, we do have legal quiet times that the state requires. So make sure that you understand that you don't party at night or do loud noises in the morning. Also gas policy, smoking policy, these are all the policy that you will consider negotiate or putting into the addendum when you sign the lease. Also, I would like to suggest that once you move in the apartment within 15 days, complete this apartment condition statement just to go over the rental unit that make sure the things that you find, maybe it's normal wear and tear or something is broken, so you can document it. That's because before you move in, you document it, so it's not your fault. So that will, in one way, will protect your security deposit at the end of your lease term. So your landlord cannot charge you for those things that you think it's not not your cause. You caused the problem. Also, the housemate agreement is another attachment that we will highly recommend. Just to, there's other things with your housemates, or the house rule policy, house rules that you are expecting your roommate to be following, who pays what, that it's, so we have this roommate agreement online. You can search on our website. We have a sample of the agreement that you can use. Protection. Lima, you wanted to take on this?
I'm going to walk you through what protection looks like while you are apartment hunting or room hunting. So first off, you want to start out with having a move-in and a move-out checklist. And what this just serves is it helps you with making sure that that you're able to document what the property looks like before you move into the place and after you move into the place. This is just so that you can avoid having issues over your security deposits, and just so that the landlord and both yourself will have a clear reference of what the property looks like before you move into the place, while you're living there, and after you move out. And so one thing you should look at: appliances and fixture condition. Look at all the appliances that you have in your room, check for any damage, and make sure to document it and let the landlord know as soon as possible. The walls, the ceilings, the floor, check for scratches, stains, or any other damage. Check the windows and the doors. You want to inspect frames, glass for any damage at all. Your bathroom, kitchen, you have to check for leaks, cracks, damages, so maybe the tub. And then utilities, you want to ensure that all the outlets and switches are functional before you move in. And even after you move in, you also want to double check on your heating system to make sure that it's working well, because you would need that during the winter season, and your cooling system if you have centralized AC. Just note any issue, take photographs, so important. Even though you're writing it down, you want to take pictures of everything, even the things that you think are not as important. Document it, take a picture, just so you have exactly all that you need when it's time for you to get your security deposit after you move out, or even before you move in, so the landlord is aware of the situation of things. Okay, so rental scams, this is a very important part that we have to be mindful of. So first off, when you do see a place that is too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. So if you notice the trends in the rent in this area, and you see a place that seems to have a rent that is offered below the market value, you need to be extra cautious of what that might look like at the end of the day. Don't be too desperate. Don't want to close it up real quickly and think that you have a good deal and then make payments. You need to be able to wait, do your due diligence, as Jing mentioned, check that the realtor is legit, check the housing address. You can use Google address. You can also go ahead and search the landlord of the property just to be sure that you're on the right track. If you do all of this and you're still not comfortable or you need some guidance, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you to figure it out as well. If anybody should ask you to wire money to any account or to Western Union or MoneyGram or any other money transfer service, please do not go forward with that, especially when you haven't seen the place that you're going to be moving in. Please do not fall for any landowner or landlord or realtor saying that you have to pay money before you see the accommodation or before you do it or before you move in. So important to not go ahead with that request. Or they say that you have to send money to another account that looks fishy, to an escrow account. Please do not send money at all. I would put it this way: before you send money, if you need some assurance, just to know that you're doing the correct thing, please reach out to us. We will be happy to help you, just so we know that you're not paying money into what might end up being a scam. And then for anybody that might try to impersonate the website or the university or a university staff, please do not participate in that. Again, please reach out to us so that we're able to walk you through it one-on-one, so you do not make a mistake where you pay money to someone and then you never hear from them again. We don't want anybody to be a victim of that. So for any situation where you're not sure of and you need some extra assurance after doing your due diligence and you still need some, added authenticity, please reach out to us and we'll be able to figure it out with you. All right, so these are some ways to avoid rental scams. If the pictures look too good to be true, always ask for an in-person tour. So important. Please do not make any commitments. Do not sign any documents. Do not pay any money if you have not seen the place in person. Pictures might not always be what is on real, what do they call it these days, what I ordered versus what I expected. We do not want you to fall for that situation. So please try to have an in-person tour, or at least a virtual tour, so you see exactly what you're getting. If you notice that the agent or the landlord seems to be pressuring you to sign a lease, like, oh, you have to sign right now, it's going to go, please be suspicious about that. Do not feel pressure to sign a lease right away. Do not feel pressure to pay any money right away. If they start asking you for money or they start the conversation with just talking about money, please do not pay any money. You're not also supposed to pay any money to be able to tour a property, whether virtual or in person. Like I mentioned earlier, try to Google the address, so you can have a satellite view of what the house looks like. Again, do your due diligence. You need to do a background check of the property owner, the realtor, the representative, or anybody who has posted that listing on the website or in any of the groups that you're looking at. We're going to send you this document at the end of the housing clinic, so you'll be able to access some of the links where you can read through and get more information. All right, so to report rental scams, these are some of the websites that you can go to, some of the organizations that you can go to. Hopefully, none of you will be victims of this. We really hope that you won't. But in the case that it happens, please let us know as well. You can also make those reports through these organizations, through this platform. Thank you.
Wait, I think we are missing some parts. Sorry about that. I think we jumped far ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to our, okay. So we'll go back to the apartment search resource here. Okay, so I would like to show you, I think most of you have already done so, but this is our off-campus website that it's official, Brandies official off-campus website. So on here, we last year we partnered with apartment.com. So just to avoid a lot of scammers on Facebook, on other listing websites. So apartment.com already helped us fill out all the potential suspicious listings and scams. So this is only place that is safe for students to look. So I highly suggest that if you have not used this website, please go go ahead and use it as an official one. So I would like to show you how you can navigate this website quickly. So here is, if you log in, you can log in with your Brandies email. Once you log in, this is the main page. And then these are the tabs of functions that we have. We have the housing search, we have the roommate tab, and the resource tab here. A tip that I will always ask students to use is when you click on housing, you can also click on here. Your campus location is Brandies. So you can narrow down with pricing and pricing type and how many bedrooms that you want, building type. Another tip here is you can search closer to campus. And then you're gonna fill out all these advertisements on the left side of the list. So these are the listings that are closer to campus. As you can see, we have share housing. These are probably students already have a house, looking for roommate, and listed all the price and address here, that, and also phone number. Here you can reach out to whoever is posting. So the tip will be sort, and then just do a close to campus listings, and here are the things that will show up here. Another function here is the roommate tab. As we see here, we're getting a lot of students around the Metro Boston area, but you can also filter if you only want Brandeis students, or you are prefer, I mean, another university will be Brandy, is they also located in Waltham, that is close by. If you prefer to live, I mean, if you don't mind live with Brandy student, you can also click on that, and you can search. So here you can find all those people have posted their profiles, maybe looking for a roommate. Well, a lot of people are looking for, need a place. We have 55 people here listed needed a place. And then we only have 1 people listed here that already have a place and looking for a roommate. A tip here is maybe you also can reach out to those people that need a place. Maybe potentially you can group together and maybe rent a house together, versus you go out there and try to look for housing by yourself. Maybe team up with one of potential roommates here will be very helpful for you. But don't be afraid to reach out to some of the students that already have their profile here, and read through their description and learn about them. Reach out to learn more about them and potentially find a good roommate. Another tab here is the resource tab here. So again, if you are looking for a realtor that will help you, you wanted to use, here are some of the companies that we have close relation with. You can reach out to those companies if you want to work with the realtor. Reach out to them, they will recommend a realtor for you. Also, here are some sample documents that we listed here you can use. We can find some samples of the application and these co-signing agreement. You also can find rental checklist here. This is just a very good place that you can find all the forms and documents. Also, these are other tabs that you can just browse through, see what other information that you needed. Another quite common one is the international student Q&A that will list a lot of students, a lot of questions that international students are concerning. I will not go over in more detail. I hope that you make this website useful as you are looking for your off-campus housing. I also like to mention some of the other resources that we here. I heard some students already joined the Facebook group. The very common one is the Brandeis and Bentley off-campus housing group. Again, the housing group are not affiliated with Brandeis. So if you're on there, just be mindful that you sometimes encounter some scams. Just be extremely careful on that. We also have students using for use WhatsApp group and WeChat group. These are not, again, it's not official Brandies group. So you have to do your own research and make educated decision when you join in these groups. The only other website resource we have is the Office of Grad Affairs housing website. On this website, we provide a lot of information regarding housing. Again, samples of rental forms and other educational information on our website. Feel free to check it out. Mima, do you want to go over this?
Yeah.
Just to get an idea of what Boston area is look like.
Okay, so this is just to give you a little bit of an idea of what moving to the Metro Boston area is like. So it is really, it's an old city, very historic and also very beautiful. And hopefully when you do come, you can have a little tour to get familiar. It's comprised of old buildings. Although rental housing is in very, very short supply, demand is very high and it is very, very pricey. You have to understand that Boston is also a college town, so there are a lot of universities in that area, a lot of students in that area. And if you are looking for accommodation in that area, apartments will usually begin to turn over in the summer. So say from August to the beginning of September. All right, so these are just some examples of some large apartment buildings and what they look like. So large apartment buildings like this tend to be the most expensive. Most of them are already fully furnished. They have, you know, some extra amenities, and they're also owned by large management teams. What this means is, but you wouldn't be working directly with a landlord, but you will be communicating with a management team. And then we also have the multifamily and single family homes. These would usually be what you would most likely be interested in and or have access to. So usually these kind of homes are privately owned. They're very, very old houses. They may not have been updated, but they're still quite modern. And they also are the more affordable option because you're able to rent one room and then have housemates that will occupy the other rooms in the house. So this is just to give you an idea of what costs can be if you decide to go to either of these neighborhoods. So when we say the Boston metro area, these are the locations really. So Waltham, Alston, Brighton, Boston, Beaumont, Cambridge, Newton, Watertown. And these are the different categories of housing and what they will cost. For transportation, this is so important as a student. You want to be able to have options when it comes to navigating different routes around Waltham and outside Waltham. So we do have very effective campus transportation, and the university uses TripShot. It is a transportation management platform that provides every student with real-time information about when the shuttle bus is leaving, the schedules, the routes, the arrival times, and the estimated times of arrival as well. So this is a very valid tool for every student to have. When you do come in, you will be encouraged to download the TripShot app and then use that to navigate following with campus transportation. Campus transportation is free. I'll talk about that some more in the next slide. And then the other option you have is public transportation. Sorry, Jill, it's public transportation. The MBTA, the Massachusetts Bay Transport Authority, known as the T, handles public transportation. So buses, subways, commuter rail. You can visit the website to know more about how that works. Of course, there are ride-sharing services, so Uber, Lyft, if you choose to use that. You can also own your car. It's not necessary. I think that you can commute and navigate living here without a car, but for some, it might be necessary. If you do want to travel outside of Waltham and you just want that independence, so you can own a car here and drive. Biking. You can also choose to be sustainable or like a cost-effective option by getting a bike. Okay. So yeah, this is just to give you some more in-depth information about TripShot, which is the Brandies transportation platform. So in Brandies, transportation is free when it comes to the Brandies shuttle, so you don't have to pay. What we do offer is we have the campus shuttle, the Waltham shuttle, the campus shuttle, and the Boston Cambridge shuttle. So the campus shuttle only covers campus grounds. So it's an eternal bus that goes just within Brandies University grounds. Then there's the Waltham shuttle, and now what this bus does is it goes through various stops all around Waltham, and then just a few stops on campus. And then there's the combo shuttle. This particular shuttle goes both ways. It covers stops on campus and around Waltham, and it's usually only available on the weekend and on very specific occasions. So it's not a Monday to Friday bus. And then we have the Boston and Cambridge shuttle, which is very helpful for if you do want to head out of this area on the weekends. It only works on Saturday and Sunday. And what it does is it has some specific places to pick people from campus, and I think 2 or 3 places in Waltham. And then it takes you straight to the Boston Cambridge environment. And then trip shots, like we mentioned earlier, this is the app that lists all the routes, the shuttles movements, the stops. So it's important that you're able to download this app when you do come, and it's very straightforward. It's easy to use. All you need to do is download, select Brandies University, put in your information, and then you can follow through and just get acquainted with how university transportation works.
Okay, subletting. I already mentioned that subletting is very common here in Boston for students who goes away from the summer, skipping pay rent during the summer when you're going home or away from your internship. But the subletting policy has to be negotiated with your landlord. You cannot sublet your house without the landlord's permission. This is I would like to say that it's important to add the subletting policy in your lease and sign with your landlord, so both parties understands. So another thing is, if you would like to terminate the lease, avoid early termination of lease. If you have to move due to an unforced circumstances, subletting is another option that you can do to avoid paying it because you are not living in there. And also temporary housing, a lot of international students actually coming in are looking for temporary housing because your lease doesn't start until a certain day, and then school already started. You may not have a housing before school starts, so students coming in looking for temporary housing. So subletting is another subletting housing is another good option for students that coming in and needed a temporary housing. So another sublet guide here, and we would like to provide a guide here that if you are thinking about going away in the summer, plan advanced and have that conversation with your landlord. Verify the landowner is giving you permission, determine the landlord's requirements, whether you have to pay for the rent or the subletting renter has to pay the landlord directly. And also obtain a copy of the original lease and add that policy in the lease. These guidelines are just a principle. If you do have further information, Nina and I were happy to go over subletting policy with you, but you just have to think about it and maybe thinking about putting that into your lease. So we'll quickly cover this tenant's rights and responsibility here. So some of the rights that the landowner must maintain is to ensure that the unit is free from pets. If you do find any pets in the unit, you should contact your landlord before the problem gets too big. It's your responsibility to report. If you don't report when the problem gets too big, your landlord may not be happy about it. So I would like to just advise that if you find any problems, report back to your landlord and communicate with your landlord. And we will not go over one by one, but some of the rights that the landlord has to provide are listed here. If you wanted to see, so the landlord also have 30 days tenancy in order to determine amount of the damage that returned to you. This is one thing that I would like to point out is how to get your security deposit back. Is when you move out, try to get your landlord to do a walkthrough with you. Just to make sure that he understands that you are living with the good condition of the rental unit. So your deposit, you can get your deposit back after 30 days. And make sure the apartment is safe and sanitary is the tenant's right. So the landlord has to provide that. The landlord also has to provide a good condition of the unit. The tenants also has a responsibility to maintain the place. Make sure that the housing code are met, access running water, heating, and required appliances are outlined in the lease, ability to exercise rights and pass and legal actions without retaliation. So that's something, if you found that the landlord is threatening you in some ways, please let us know. And one of our responsibility here in the office is to help students navigate these difficult conversations with landlords. So if you have ever encountered these, please let us know. We will try to help you. So Mima, I think we should cover quickly the international students part.
Yeah, so this is just a little guide on what you would need, the documentation you would need as an international student when you are about to sign a lease or looking into your housing. So you need your I-20. This is basically just to show the landlords, the realtors that you are legally enrolled in a program while here in the US. You'd also would need a copy of your visa. I would say though that not every landlord would ask for every single one of these documents, but this is just for you to have an idea of what you probably will be asked, because a good number of these landlords know that you don't have credit history, you're only here for your program. So bringing all of these documents help them know that you are legitimate, it's authentic, and then they can overlook asking for a cosigner or being concerned about your rental history or credit score. So that's why some of them might ask you for some of these documents, like, a copy of your visa. Please do not give them your actual passport. You can give them a copy of your visa, passport, your offer letter from the university as well. There are some landlords, realtors that will still go ahead to ask you for a cosigner or a guarantor. So if you do have one, usually it has to be an American citizen. So if you have someone that can do that for you, that's awesome. So you can go ahead and get your landowner's policy, negotiate on that as well. You can be asked for a cosigner or a guarantor. So a cosigner could be someone that you're, going to move in with basically. And then the guarantor cannot live in the rental with you. They're only going to be contacted if you've missed a payment or if you've gone against your leasing agreements. Next slide, please. So some tips and tricks. You want to be able to connect with Brandeis students over LinkedIn. It's so important that you are trying to build a community before you even get here, because it's very helpful. That way you can have students that might be willing to help you with transportation, with navigating maybe your way from the airports down to your accommodation. You also want to be able to pick their, their brains, get some ideas on how to understand their own housing strategies and what has worked for them. You want to know what the conversion is like in your local currency. We do know that the economy is kind of up and down. It's not very stable right now, depending on what it's like in your country. So you want to have an idea of what the conversion rate is, and just so that you can be able to plan for unexpected events. And then you want to have some flexibility, some financial flexibility in case of inflation or extra expenses, or just having an emergency fund. So, and then temporary housing. For most international students, you might probably need some form of emergency or temporary housing. It could be because you're coming in, say, the 3rd week of August, and then your lease doesn't start until the 1st week of September. And so for that little window, you need somewhere to reside. Now, your options might be Airbnb, hotels, and couch surfing. This might be what you would have to resort to until you're able to move into your permanent house or room. And then building connections to, this is where having that network using LinkedIn or even word of mouth comes in. there can be present Brandies students who are from your country, and you can connect with them, speak to them, you know, and let them know the kind of help that you need, the kind of assistance that you need. Some might be able to be open to providing you with temporary accommodation or an option. Please do your due diligence with building connections. While we encourage you to build connections, we also encourage you to do your homework in terms of just making sure that whoever you're connecting with is someone who is responsible. And then temporary subleasing options, like Jane explained earlier, subleasing is something that is popular here in the Massachusetts area. So you might consider temporary or short-term subleasing options where you might be able to sublease a place for a month or a couple of weeks until you now have permanent housing, and then you can move into your longer-term leasing option. So yeah, I'm going to give it back to Jane if you do have any questions to share.
Okay, so yeah, so finally we will just leave some time for you. Well, it would take so much time for us to go over the PPT this time. So, but now it's the time for you to ask questions if you have any. Mima and I will be here, try to answer any questions you might have. You can also raise your hands or type in the questions in the chat. I will stop sharing. Again, we will be sending this PPT slides to your email after this event. So feel free to look if you need a specific question or any information in the slide that you would like to look into it. We'll send it over to you. Also things that we consider we have in a pretty small group. I'm just wondering if any of you here would like to meet each other. Maybe we could provide this floor to you as well. If you want to unmute and just introduce yourself, where your name, where you're located, and which program are you in, and what other stage are you in the process of looking for housing. Yeah, as Mima mentioned, we also have the housemate speed meeting event that was already happened back in June and July. We don't plan for another event, but if you wanted to have the opportunity here, that will be the time to do so. If you wanna try to meet someone that is also looking for housing, or already have a place that is looking for housemaid. If not, then I will. While you're thinking about questions, I would like to also share a survey link that if you could please give us some feedbacks after our meeting, would be really appreciated. I will just drop in the survey link into the chat. So this is a survey link. If you have a minute, please help us fill out this survey and help us improve our presentations and content in the PPT to make this a better housing clinic for future students. All right, if so we're not getting any questions here. So if not, we will end this event early today. We'll give you 15 minutes back And Nima and I really appreciate that you came to this event today, and hopefully that you will find a lot of good information and help you get started with your house hunting here. And I would also like to mention our in-person orientation is now open for registration. If you wanted to, the in-person orientation will happen on a Friday of August 23rd from 12 to 6 p.m. On campus. The event is now open to register. I will also drop in the registration link here if you have not done that yet and you would like to sign up. I will drop this in the chat so you can sign up for the in-person orientation. All right, so if none of you have questions, we'll end this early, and thank you so much for coming. We look forward to seeing you in person. Able to access recording of this session. Oh, yes. So Rebecca, we will after this meeting, we will have this recording and PPT. Well, the recording will probably cannot email to you because the file will be probably too big. We'll try to post it on our website. So you keep an eye out for that. The PPT will be emailed to you though. And also in struggling. No, Cesar, do you want to be more detailed about what are you struggling about?
Hi everyone. So as I said in the chat, I'm Mrs. Shiva from Eswatini. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. So a few things. One would just be to say that I joined the chat a bit late. I think culture shock number one, just the time difference. So I mixed the times. But essentially, my struggle at the moment is number one, the pricing. It's just incredibly shocking, but fine. I'm coming through the Fulbright program, so there is a stipend that allows for that, which is okay. So just trying to find that. I think my biggest problem is I'm part of it. Well, my program is accelerated, so it's 9 months, and a lot of the leases that I'm seeing, I think I've only seen one that allows for a 9-month lease. Everything else is 12 months. I mean, I guess that's when subletting could handy, so you're not losing too much money.
Yeah.
So it's just navigating all of that. So trying to find a place, like ideally the 9-month lease test, but I think going through the resources available, there's only one that I've seen that has that option, and everything else is sort of 12 months, or it just says like summer. So you don't really understand, okay, fine, maybe that just means you rent it through the summer. So that's one, but also coming from a different continent, you want to at least make, so my thinking is I want to get to the US knowing where I'll be, right? So it's a little uncomfortable to sort of there's the option, I guess, as you said, to rely on just the connections that you make. So you can live on somebody's couch for a week while you look. But that leaves, I think my problem is that that's leaving so much to just chance, which is a little bit difficult to do. So on one hand, I want to be able to see the apartments myself just to make sure that I'm comfortable, but also time is running out. So that also just means the more affordable apartments are also going quicker, obviously, than the more pricey ones. So trying to balance, sorry, I have little babies here. So just trying to manage all of that in the given time frame, I think for me is what's a little bit difficult.
Thank you for
But I
sharing.
guess you just have to go with it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I totally understand your frustration. Yeah, so your program is shorter. I will highly suggest that if you cannot find a 9-month lease, go with the 12-month lease, but having the subletting policy into the lease when you sign with the landlord. So that way you have a flexibility when you do need to leave early, terminate the lease early. And second of all, the availability here, the inventory is taking very quickly here in the area. So I highly suggest that you start early and give yourself enough time just to look. Have you used our off-campus website? Okay, so
Yes,
from
so
yeah, from
that's
there,
primarily what I've been using.
yeah, from there also a good opportunity for you to maybe search on the housemates, like students already post their profiles on that website. Just actively reach out to those students, see if they already have a place or they wanted to rent together. I think team up is a good manpower for that.
I think another thing that I'd like to ask, the amenities that are there, a lot of the apartments will have like, okay, here there's heating, there's, you know, electric, or there's water, whatever. And so I'll give an example. I found one apartment which has almost everything. So electricity, heating, water, sewer, etc. So it has all of that. But it's obviously more expensive. But going in, I'm not sure what is reasonable for electricity when you're sharing. How much is, I think so there's that as well, just trying to figure out, is this reasonable, is this not? And of course that's relative, right? Reasonability is relative. So just trying to find out, okay, how much do people typically pay? So if, for example, there's an option that doesn't have all these amenities like electricity and heating and water, how much can I expect to pay for that sort of thing, you know, if that's not included in the price? So I'm finding myself in a position where I have to just sort of guess and ask around. And I guess that's where making connections also comes in, right? To just ask people. And I think that's currently where I am. Just, I have some people that I know from my country, but they're not at Brandeis, they're at Harvard. So just trying to understand, you know, is this a lot? Is this reasonable? So those are some of the challenges.
Okay, so nice to meet you, Nosisa. I hope I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing it correctly. One of my dear friends in Hela is from Lesotho. I hope that I pronounced that correctly as well. So yeah, just to give you a little bit of an idea. Welcome to Hela. I'm also in Hela. I was expecting to see people in Hela. So to give you an idea, having an exact amount is not something that might really work because, like you said, it's very relative. For starters, it depends on the house that you're in. Most of the houses here are really old. So it depends on the kind of heating system they have, the kind of cooling system they have, you know, kind of appliances they have. That goes into really what your price might come in. It also depends on the kind of housemates that you have. What is everyone's consumption level? Is this a house where it has to be really, really warm all the time? Do you all cook very often? Do you do laundry very often? So those are the different things that go into what your bill will come out to be. But typically during the summer, for everything, you should be saving